Everyone warns you that crypto is risky because the price can crash 50% overnight. That's true, but it's also the least interesting risk in the entire industry because it's the one risk everyone already understands and prices in the moment they buy their first coin. The risk nobody talks about is quieter. It's baked into the plumbing itself, sitting several layers beneath the price chart you actually watch. And in the first 6 months of 2026 alone, it already cost investors more money than any single price crash could have. Over $2 billion gone, not because the market went down, but because the system underneath it broke. Let's start with the number that should actually scare you. In the first half of 2026, hackers stole roughly $2.17 billion from crypto exchanges, DeFi platforms, bridges, and wallets. That's already 17% more than the entire worst year on record before it, and we're only halfway through the calendar. 207 separate hacks, an average of more than one every single day. The biggest single one, a DeFi lending platform called Drift Protocol, lost close to $300 million in one attack. And here's the detail traditional coverage tends to bury. Roughly 2/3 of everything stolen this year has been traced back to groups linked to North Korea. This isn't random teenage hackers anymore. This is a state actor treating crypto theft as a functioning line item in its national budget, and the industry's own infrastructure, built for speed and openness rather than security, is what's making it possible. But theft is only half the story, and honestly, it's the half that gets the headlines while the more dangerous half operates in complete silence. Meet the second risk: leverage. In crypto, you can borrow heavily against your position to amplify your bets, and the exchanges make this incredibly easy, sometimes letting traders control positions 5, 10, even 20 times larger than the cash they actually put in. It feels harmless, right up until it isn't. Earlier this year, a single 24-hour liquidation event wiped out $1.68 billion in leveraged positions, with over 90% of that coming from traders betting the price would go up. When leveraged positions get forced closed all at once, they don't just lose value quietly, they trigger more forced selling, which drops the price further, which triggers even more forced selling. It's not a crash, it's a chain reaction, and once it starts, no individual investor, no matter how careful they were with their own money, can opt out of the shockwave, because the exchange's own automated systems are the ones pulling the trigger, not any human being who could pause and reconsider. Now here's where the two risks collide into something genuinely dangerous, and it happened just months ago in a way most people outside crypto never even heard about. On April 18th, 2026, hackers stole close to $290 million from major DeFi lending platforms in a single coordinated attack. Aave, the largest DeFi lending platform in the world, holding tens of billions of dollars in user deposits, saw a wave of panicked withdrawals so severe that some lenders, including people simply holding stablecoins they thought were safe, physically could not get their money out. Aave's total value locked dropped from $26.4 billion to under $18 billion in a matter of hours. That's not a metaphor. That's an actual bank run, playing out in real time on a platform that had spent years marketing itself as safer and more transparent than traditional banking, specifically because there was no single company you had to trust, no branch manager, no customer service line, just code that was supposed to execute exactly as written, no matter what happened around it. Think about what that means for a second. The entire pitch of decentralized finance was that you didn't need to trust a bank, a CEO, or a middleman, because the code itself was the guarantee. But the April crisis exposed the uncomfortable truth sitting underneath that pitch. DeFi lending platforms depend on price data feeds from outside sources to function correctly. And when hackers manipulate or exploit that data, even a platform that passed every security audit can freeze up exactly when depositors need it most. You can do everything right. Choose the biggest platform, the most audited protocol, the most reputable name in the space. Spread your funds across multiple wallets like every safety guide tells you to. and still find yourself locked out of your own money because of a vulnerability 3 layers removed from anything you personally controlled or could have reasonably checked yourself. And this is exactly why the danger flies under the radar for most investors. A price crash is visible. It's on every headline. Everyone braces for it. A liquidity freeze during a lending platform exploit is technical. It's buried in DeFi Twitter threads and post-mortem reports nobody outside the industry reads. And by the time mainstream financial media picks it up, it's already been repackaged into a boring paragraph about market volatility. Nobody writes the headline that actually matters, which is that the infrastructure connecting these platforms together is now interconnected enough that a single exploit on one lending protocol can freeze deposits on platforms that had nothing to do with the original breach. Even the technology considered the gold standard for security isn't immune. In June of 2026, researchers disclosed a critical flaw in Zcash, one of the older and more established privacy-focused cryptocurrencies, a bug that had apparently existed undetected for roughly 4 years inside its core cryptographic system. In theory, it could have allowed someone to create unlimited counterfeit coins without anyone noticing, because the entire point of the privacy feature was making transaction details invisible. There's no evidence it was ever actually exploited, but sit with that for a second. A foundational flaw sat inside one of crypto's most trusted privacy systems for 4 straight years, undiscovered, and the only reason you're not hearing about a catastrophic collapse right now is luck, not design. So when people say the dark side of crypto is that the price is volatile, they're not wrong. They're just answering the wrong question, the easy one, the one that fits neatly into a 5-second warning label. Volatility is the risk you signed up for the moment you opened an exchange account. Nobody put a warning label on the fact that a hack on one lending platform could freeze your withdrawals on a completely different one you never even interacted with. That state-sponsored hacking groups are now effectively funding themselves through your deposits, or that a bug can hide inside audited, trusted code for 4 straight years without a single person catching it. Traditional financial coverage keeps treating crypto risk as a price chart problem, because a chart is simple, a chart is visual, and a chart gets clicks. Nobody's going viral explaining Oracle price feed manipulation or cross-protocol contagion, even though those are the mechanisms that actually decided who got their money back in April and who didn't. The real risk was never the number going down. It was always the plumbing you never got to inspect, running quietly underneath every single trade you make, whether you ever think about it or not.